What's up, everybody? My name's Allie, and welcome back to another episode of Booked in Detroit. This week, we're going on a trip. This morning, I'm getting on a plane and I'm headed to New York City to interview author Joel Wachowski. Why don't we start by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, I'm Joel Walkowski. I'm the author of Honolulu Blues. I've lived a rich and vibrant life. I play basketball, I work with addicts, and I hold down a day job at General Motors. Also, I have a 2-year-old Puerto Rican street dog who's the sweetest girl in the world.
So, you've lived in the Detroit area before and you're currently living in New York City. Do you find similarities between the two cities or are they pretty different?
I think they are different. I think that Detroit has a better sense of collectivism. No one is too cool to get on the dance floor in Detroit, which I really do appreciate. And I think that, both places are similar in that, like, you kind of need a guide because they're both huge cultures, huge geographically, where you kind of need your in order to find your belonging. So, like, it's easy to search and not know where to go. But once you're in, they're two of the most wonderful places I've ever been.
Nice. So, in your book, Honolulu Blues, you give a sort of play by play on the Detroit Lions lore and history. I feel like the most recent major addition to this lore was a few years ago when they lost right before getting to the Super Bowl. So, how did you feel in 2024 when the Lions were one game away from the Super Bowl and they lost to the San Francisco 49ers?
And so, how I feel about the Lions blowing the Super Bowl. So, yeah, Honolulu Blues is Lions lore and backstory, but I tell them through the prism of I had a special needs parent, and my dad was on the autism spectrum, and like of his special interests, it was banjos, leathers, and the Detroit Lions. Every conversation I had with him was about the Lions in some sense. And during that magical season, he was actually dying. I was his full time caretaker. I was putting him into hospice. I was clearing out his hoarder home, and he asked me to go from his deathbed to that NFC Championship game, and it was a beautiful moment. He was the only one who wasn't upset by it. Like, it's just like, yeah, we didn't go to Super Bowl. Like, think about all the memories we had together over the course of the year. And, like, it kind of changed my thinking. Like, it's not as outcome based. I just want to make this team a part of my community. I don't care what the team gives to me.
Nice. I think that's really sweet. So,
No, I love them to death. And, I think it's a perfect stand in for, like, who my father was. Like, I really loved him. He's so special. But I, like, with the Lions and him, like, I was never going to get the things that other people got out of their team or their parents. So I just needed to appreciate the unique things that my relationship was providing to me.
yeah, that's nice. So, looking back on your journey through life, what's the most memorable moment you've had so far?
My my most memorable moment, can it be bad?
If you want.
I'm in recovery, and I drank myself to death when I was just 22 years old. And what happened was I wanted to be a writer. The first thing I ever wrote got published, and I said, like, I'm going to be great. And me pursuing that, like, I put the work above myself, and I really fell on a bad addiction spiral. And then, like, the other end of that is, like, this book started. I was in a recovery meeting, and I was just like, hey, what are your goals? And I thought of the most wild, outlandish thing I could do, and it was really writing a book sober. Like, it seemed like such a worthwhile challenge, and so I think those are, like, my two defining moments. Like, yeah, this book I think is great and funny and entertaining, but it's also a bookend to, like, my lowest moment where I'll forever be defined by that's how I treated myself when I was finding my place in the world.
Well, I'm glad you were able to overcome. So what does your creative process look like when writing a novel or essay, and how does this process differ from when you're writing something like a stand-up set or a comedy show?
Oh, well, I think that, like, they're very different because, like, writing is such a longer time axis where I need to really build my routine around it, where I made the writing the most important thing to me, where, like, every morning I would write from 7 to 9. I would put on records where I couldn't get up and I couldn't do anything until I had to flip the record. And I had, like, a whole regime to keep me productive. I knew if I did it at the start of my day, I I wouldn't be stressing about it. Whereas stand up is more, you get the perfect line, you have to workshop it in front of people, and like there's so many social barriers to working on your creative output that like it kind of felt time inefficient. Where at least like every time all I need to do to work on the book is go into the other room. I don't have to go across town and shake hands and wait to get up at a show. Like it's literally like always there. So once I built the infrastructure, I can check into that anytime.
Nice. So, from first draft to publish, what was the most difficult part of writing and publishing your novel?
The worst part was that I did the first draft by hand, and I was going to the dentist. I left one of those notebooks on top of my car, and it flew off.
Oh,
I didn't
no.
realize for a second it flew off. I got run over by a truck, so I had to go down Manhattan Avenue, and I was literally like fishing pages out of the sewer, and then my neighbor walked by. They're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm writing a book."
Yeah, I
I'll
can
never.
definitely see how that would be a struggle,
But I
trying to
think,
get all them back.
yeah, but I think like it's good to write like longhand because then there's no editing. You just have to keep moving forward,
Yeah,
right? Like where like I would rewrite a sentence 15 times if I could see it.
yeah. Also, I feel like even in high school and middle school for me, you wrote your first draft by hand, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, there's
I don't
less.
think there's anything wrong with that or anything. So
Yeah, you're slower, but you also have less defense mechanisms, so it's still like I feel like it's more creatively productive.
yeah. So you facilitate sobriety groups. What advice do you have for anyone currently thinking about starting that sobriety journey?
Um, I think that so much of the journey is figuring out you want to make a change, deciding how you make a change. So by the time you actually make a change, like you've actually made so much progress than you ever realize. Like the first time you walk into a room or talk to someone about getting help or decide to abstain, like that is such a meaningful milestone that shows like almost like the worst part of the journey is over. So I'd reframe it that way.
Thanks. What will your book fest booth look like, and what are you most excited for?
Mm, I got. I'm really excited just to bring the book in front of the people. Early responses have been incredibly encouraging, and like selling the books in the shadow of Warfield. I'm bringing my lifelong best friend. I'm bringing my girlfriend. I've got a big banner made up with some of the praise for it, and I did talk to like the biggest collector of vintage Lions memorabilia by helping with my booth, but he wanted to design T-shirts and they were cost prohibitive, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna have that element. But I don't know how big and ornate do people get the booths?
Honestly, it really just depends. Some people will go all out and they'll have like a whole setup, and then some people it's just like a tablecloth, and then they set their books out. So it
Yeah.
really just depends.
So I think my big banner will do a lot of the heavy lifting, and I'll be giving away. I print out cookies with the book cover on it, so people can have the cookie. They're like a little pricey, but I think people will remember them. And maybe I'll put some burners on ice for the people. I'm sure it'll be a hot day. Yeah, stop by, see how to grab a copy of the Honolulu Blues and of Verner's. And also, like, I'm going to be selling the book pretty cheap there. So I personally bought the copies for Honolulu Blues toward the book fest. So I'm going to be
Nice.
selling those at cost just to put them in readers' hands.
That's fun. Tell me about the Big Walkowski and how has it impacted your community?
Okay, so when I got sober, I didn't want to go to a different bar for Lions games. So what I did was I started to play in a basketball game Sunday evening from 5 to 7. So I couldn't drink during the Lions games, and that just grew. And then I was turning 30. My friends wanted to throw me something, so we threw a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. They called it the Big Walkowski. Everyone had a good time. We added a little bit the next year. If anyone had ideas, we incorporated them, and that kept going and going. Where we started getting jerseys, we started getting food. We decided we needed to be for a charity, so we became a 501c. One of our players unfortunately passed away, but his organs were used to save like 5 people's lives. So we started partnering with an organ donation company, and so every year we raise about 10 grand to
Oh,
just
wow.
help transfer and facilitate like different transplants. So like what's been like fun and broy has really built like such a vibrant world around it.
Nice. I think that's really cool.
It's so fun too.
Yeah.
And even last year, like I couldn't play, I got hit by a bus.
Oh,
It was still
wow.
like such a fun day. And I don't know why. It always rains right as we're ending, and like it
Yeah.
always creates a bit of trouble. I know this is probably for people from Detroit. I will say that members of the Knicks came last year, and even then, I will never root for the Knicks. Pistons forever. Val.
So, where can people buy Honolulu Blues? How loving a losing team created a winning man when it comes out on July 14th.
And I think it is available everywhere. You can get it at all resellers, and most importantly, the Detroit book vets. Like, I would love to meet you. I would love to put a book in your hands. Tell me about your favorite player. I'll tell you about mine. Hint, hint. It's Golden Tate. And I'm also doing a bunch of events in the Michigan area. I'm going to Book Suey on the 24th, Barnes and Noble Troy on the 25th of July, and then this September I've partnered with the Michigan Library System where I'm doing like 15 different libraries in a 15-day span. Where
Oh,
like
wow, that's cool.
we're bringing out like recovery programs to like attend these readings, and like I think they'll be a little bit funny, but like my goal is to really drop this in Michigan's lap and have it be everywhere that's convenient for them.
Nice.
I should mention Schuler's in the events too, because they're a local chain and they've been very helpful. So I'll be in Ann Arbor at Schuler's on the 29th. And like that one's fun because I brought up my cousins, my conversation partner for that.
Oh, nice. So, last question is where can people find you online?
I'm Joel Walkowski on Instagram, and all my other articles, all my tour dates are available at bigwalkowski.com. And you can find a little bit more about the basketball tournament as well.
Nice. Well, thank you for sitting down with me today, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.
I will. Go Lions.